Hello, my retro friends. Thanks for following my channel, like the Retro Realtor. Today, we're going to talk about EVs. EVs are not really high on my radar, but something happened over the 4th of July weekend. My little sister came to town, and as we're celebrating America, she mentions to me that her husband bought an EV, almost looking for a negative reaction from me. Whereas that's fine. I really never talk about EVs because they're just not something I'm terribly interested in. On the 4th of July, I drove my 86 Fiero with all its 80s analog 5-speed manual awesomeness. I am the exact opposite of an EV driver. I don't have strong feelings one way or another on EVs. On one hand, I'm very excited that America has new car companies and they're building cars in America. Tesla, Rivian, Lucid. That's a good thing that these companies exist, in my opinion. But then the other hand, I'm just not a buyer for these cars. I'm not a techie guy. Sure, my channel makes that perfectly clear. It's just not for me. I know there's downfalls with them, especially with cold weather and range anxiety. A friend of mine had a Tesla and she took it down to central Illinois and she thought it was a nightmare. I just happened probably in my Continental with all its V8 glory, just fly there at 90 miles an hour with one stop for gas, in and out in 10 minutes. But of course, that's just for road trips. It makes a little more sense cruising around town where you can just dock it every night and charge it overnight. That makes a lot more sense. But to me, I don't think I could ever own one as a primary car, maybe as a toy if I got interested in one. My only real beef about electric cars is how the government was trying to push people into them. And then Stellantis just doing the stupidest thing ever by killing off the Challenger Charger and Chrysler 300 to put these EV cars out there that did not sell worth a damn. They lost their asses on it. And what kills me about it is, yes, these were very old platform cars, but they sold relatively well. And because all the dies, all the technology, all the stuff in these older cars have been paid off for years, Stellantis was making a small fortune on every single car that they sold. Now, again, I do have a huge bias toward larger 2- and 4-door cars, but that's a story for another video. My other beef is, if you can afford a $100,000 car, why is the government giving you $7,500 tax credits that me, as a taxpayer, ultimately paying for? Now, I know they're phasing that out starting September 30th of this year, but I just still never understood the logic. Maybe you can say, well, at the time they're startup companies, they need a leg up. That makes sense to a degree with Rivian and Lucid because you want to understand they still haven't made it. Tesla's made it. We should just let them sell cars as they want. And I understand EVs are becoming a larger part of the automotive market. As of 2024, nearly 9% of all new car sales were EVs. That's still a relatively small percentage. Of course, my cars that I like to buy, convertibles, less than 1%. Manuals, less than 1%. Obviously, I like niche stuff, and I understand EVs are becoming more and more of a mainstream car, but they're still at 9%. And I know they're going to work out the bugs over time, and it's always a good thing to have companies being very innovative and pushing the envelope and doing anything. It's a good thing that GM, Ford, and Stellantis put their economic muscle behind these cars to innovate them and make them better. But I'm not a buyer for it, and to kill off viable cars, again, Stellantis, I'm looking at you, makes no sense to me. People still want to buy these cars. They don't want to be pushed into it. They don't want to be forced into it. And you hear Stellantis saying, we're only going to make EV cars, some nonsense like that. I don't want to hear it. People still want to buy ICEs. People do love the roar of a V8. I understand if you're not a car guy and you just want a good commuter car, an EV makes perfect sense to you. But if you are a car guy and you do love the feel and the rumble of a V8 or even a V6 or something a little more, I'm not going to go so far as to say high performance because obviously these EVs, they freaking fly, but it's not the same. And maybe I'm just being old man Gen X or something like that. I don't know, but it's just not my cup of tea. I wish them well. I do want to see EVs sell, but I want it to be a segment. I don't want to be pushed into it. I don't want to be forced to buy one. And as a guy who buys 30-year-old cars and drives them daily, I'm just not the guy who's going to have any real interest in one of these vehicles until God only knows. Maybe something happens with me where I change my philosophy. But at this point, it's just not for me. I do wish the companies well. I was also once asked why I never film EVs. Well, the main reason is EVs never show up at car shows. I'm yet to see one. And if they did, it would be kind of weird because they're relatively new and a Tesla is pretty darn common. I mean, obviously, Tesla's doing very well. They sold 1.3 million cars last year. That's a huge number, but they're not for me. I'm not going to say they're not sexy, they're not cool. I mean, some people really love them, and that's fine. That's your bag, that's your deal. It's just not for me. Drive a Tesla if you want, drive a Rivian, drive a Lucid. Those Lucids I know have 1,000 horsepower. They scream, and I've seen them around. They're expensive. Some of them are north of $200K, but I'm just the exact opposite. I mean, I talk about how much I enjoy driving a 30-year-old $10,000 car. So going back to my sister, she wasn't really looking for a fight. She just wanted to maybe get a reaction. And I'm just like, go ahead. If that's your thing, God bless. To each their own. And that's the beautiful thing about having more car companies in the States, more options, more variety. Pick what you want. I just don't want the government forcing them down my throat, and I certainly don't want the government paying for them. That being said, keep it retro, my friends. Take care.